One of the things that is maybe the best thing that ever happened to us is every single day we're in front of and alongside a neighbor who is sharing with us their story, their life, their moment. I think it connected all of us more deeply to the richness of the community that we serve. Half of the food that we provide goes to the teachers of the school. Do we think it's a good idea that the individuals that are responsible for educating our children are having to come to Feeding Tampa Bay to feed themselves? We're proud to be here. We're proud to step into that moment, but I think there's a bigger question we all need to ask and think about.
Welcome back to Stick a Fork in It, yet another Wednesday. I hope you are being patient as you're commuting and you're watching or listening to us. You might recognize our next guest. He used to be on the show, but he has other bigger things to take care of, kind of like running Feeding Tampa Bay. TM, welcome back to Stick a Fork in It.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Where you been?
I've been doing other stuff since I got thrown off the show.
Well, you know.
I'm filling my time with other things.
You're filling your time with other things? Yeah. Don't you miss us?
No.
Lies.
No.
Lies. You know,
Once I was thrown out, I forgot about you guys entirely.
Lies. I'm just going to call it out there. But I do want to talk about a little bit about this show. We're kind of going into our 7th year. We had a conversation as a team. This is where I want to send C-Suite, JC, you all love, because as an organization, you guys will take risks and try new things and invest in them. So we had a conversation on where are we going with this, right?
Well, I think, the podcast was created for us to be able to have a different kind of conversation with the community, right? There's different ways that people access our work, understand who we are, what we do, why we do it, and with whom we do it. And the podcast has always allowed us to tell that story. And so that story probably has continued to evolve over the 7 years that we've done this, and I'm sure it'll continue to evolve as it should from here as well.
Yeah, so, people will notice a number of changes that we've had. The show is shorter. We were looking at the data to see what people are interested in. Anything from we're learning a thumbnail and placement of things that are going on in the community. There's all these things that help support us, and we're making those changes, and Feeding Tampa Bay is investing in that. So thank you.
Yeah. I would lament that we live in a society where someone thinks they can grasp the entirety of a subject in 6 to 8 minutes because it's not likely or possible, but that's how people consume these days.
It is.
I still think that podcasts have a place where you can consider conversations in depth, because there's always an unspooling that happens in discussions. You have the things that you think you're going to say, the things you want to say, but as any good, I think, podcast or interview happens, there's stuff that comes up that you want to pursue that you didn't expect. And I hope the long form of podcasts isn't lost, but we're certainly happy to see ours continue to move along.
Yeah. So update us right now. We're heading into hurricane season. We have a lot of things going on. Our community continues to struggle with inflation. Like, what is kind of the state of FTB right now and everything that we have currently and what the plans are?
Yeah, so let me answer your second question first. I think one of the things that's interesting about our business is that we always stand in between incredible generosity and significant challenges, right? So the interesting part is, particularly in storms, we see people that are that come into our world that offer a degree of hope and opportunity and resources that allow us to do what we need to do against those that are really devastated by what's happened to them. And we kind of have to hold those two truths together, that the generosity of one moment and one person is also held up against the devastation of one moment and one person. I think the reason why I bring that up is I think we see that more regularly now, and that's really what we're experiencing. It's important not to categorize that as a result of a hurricane or an event that's unexpected. It's now the day-to-day existence of many of our neighbors and friends. Yeah. And I think for me, that's always something that I am aware of, and that we as an organization are aware of. We have more support, more resources. This building provides us more opportunities than we ever could have imagined. But the problem is galloping at a speed faster than we can gallop.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of probably what's on our mind more than anything else as we think about this. If we're fortunate, we won't have storms that put people in a difficult position because resilience is lower than it's ever have been amongst the families that we serve. Yeah. And that resilience really comes in two forms. One, can I survive physically, financially, otherwise a storm? And secondarily, do I have the emotional, mental, and spiritual wherewithal to survive these things too? I think all of us feel a bit worn down.
Yeah, it's a little bit exhausting because, it's a term that we have said for years, and it just keeps being added as now more than ever.
Yeah.
Like, how can you continue from 2020 where now more than ever
I think
relative?
Yeah, I think it's something that communities really have to reconcile without being wonky about this. You've heard me tell this story before, but I want to repeat it. As some folks may know, we have pantries inside of schools, about 100 different schools throughout Tampa Bay, because we wanted to make sure we were feeding families and children more thoughtfully so mom or dad can stop in the pantry, get groceries, and head home, right? Mm-hmm. We've discussed this before, but this story still resonates with me. We visited with our board one of the schools that we have a pantry in, and the person conducting the tour from the school was doing a wonderful job of talking about all the valuable reasons why the pantry was valuable to the families that they were serving, the kids, moms and dads, and all that. But she ended her presentation by saying half of the food that we provide goes to the teachers of the school. And I come back to that over and over again with a simple question for all of us. Do we think it's a good idea that the individuals that are responsible for educating our children, shaping them mentally, emotionally, morally, and otherwise, are having to come to Feeding Tampa Bay to feed themselves?
Right.
And I think this is just a question that we all have to ask ourselves whether we think that's a good idea or not. We're proud to be here. We're proud to step into that moment, and we feel a sense of obligation to that moment. But I think there's a bigger question we all need to ask and think about.
Well, and then even beyond that is our military.
Right.
That we have people that are really sacrificing their families, themselves, and they are coming to a food bank because they aren't able to cover their bills by being in the military.
And it just ought not be that if you're willing to sacrifice your safety and well-being to make sure that the rest of us have safety and well-being, we ought to have a responsibility to you that doesn't end with you standing on a food line.
Right.
And I think, again, these are things that we ought to discuss. Now, you and I spend every single day trying to figure out how do we answer that problem that exists today. Mm-hmm. I think we ought to step back and say, why does that problem exist, period?
Right. Why are we in the place that we are now? We have been in this amazing facility, the Causeway Center, for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. What is, an incredible memory, and B, what is something that you would have changed?
So May 23rd is 2 years, and it's hard for me to believe that we've been here 2 years because it's gone by exceptionally fast. We recently, probably about 3 months ago, we opened up a medical clinic on campus. Mm-hmm. And so we literally have Suncoast Community Health. We have a doctor on campus. We have support services, and people can literally come in here and get medical care. If you had ever asked me 5 years ago, even when we started thinking about this building, whether we would have a medical clinic on campus, I don't know that I would have said yes. And the reason why that resonates with me and why I answer your question that way is that what I am proudest of is that we built a really good shell. Mm-hmm. And inside of that shell, we continue to try and understand how best to use our space to support and provide resources for our community. Mm-hmm. I remember being scared all the time we were designing the building, and I kept talking to the principal of the building company, and I would say, what about this? What about that? And at one point, Doug looked at me and he said, the only 4 permanent walls you have are the ones on the outside. Everything else you can change. And that used to give me a lot of solace, because when the community is investing so much in you to build this facility, you want to do the right thing by that and with that. Mm-hmm. And so that definitely was weighing on me more than anything else. And one of the memories that I have of all of that process, aside from trying to figure out how do you build this building and what should be inside of it, was the overwhelming sense of responsibility I felt to make sure we did the right thing. As you recall, we visited a lot of our brethren around the country trying to understand how they were successful or not in their particular construction projects. And the two things that came back over and over again was be bolder, right? And do it right now. Don't, so we built more space than we needed. We built more parking spaces than we needed. We spent more money than we thought we could or would be able to because we wanted to make sure that we did it right. So probably more than anything else, the enduring feeling that I have about the building is that sense of obligation and responsibility. Do I feel like we got it right? I do. As you know, because you've participated, we've had many tours that have come through, and the affirmation is really helpful. We stepped out in a very, very different way than our peer group, extremely different, because we felt like holistic care of a human being was our opportunity and our obligation. We could have just moved more food. Yep. And so I think the affirmation of that, both from the community we serve and the community we serve with, reminds me it's okay that we made the right choices, that we're going in the right direction. I think all of us would say it's harder. It puts greater pressure on us. But I am more convinced than ever, I think all of us are, that it's the right way to take care of neighbors. And I think if you spend 5 minutes inside of our neighbor services area, you'll see an individual that would quickly and readily say, thank you for the care of me as a human.
Right.
And being considerate about my life and my challenges and my issues.
Well, it's commonly thank you for asking me what I need.
Yeah.
Right. And I agree. It's a more challenging approach, but man, is it more rewarding when someone moves out of needing us and to rely on us so much than not to. And that's a testament to changing the philosophy of what this food bank was before and leaning into partnerships, which that takes a lot, right? Years ago, it used to be more like you think of other nonprofits as competitors. Yeah. We've completely changed the mindset of celebrating other nonprofits for what their strengths are. We still are the best at food.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of people under our roof that are really great at what they do.
Well, I think there's a real difference in one of the things that I've been reflecting on lately is there's a real difference in all of our, as an organization, our connection to our mission. So you'll recall this, of course, because this is how we acquired your talents. When we were trying to understand how we could provide more resources to the community, one of the things that came back to us loud and clear was prepared meals was something the community wanted and needed. And so the founder of Trinity Cafe and I, Jeff Derry, who is an important figure to us personally and professionally, had started Trinity Cafe, where one of the things he shared was, as you know, Trinity Cafe was 51% dignity, 49% food. And we all attached to that pretty quickly. But the other thing about our relationship with Trinity, which had ended up impacting the rest of our work, was it brought us in closer proximity to neighbors we serve. Remember, our model before was to make sure that 400 agencies were equipped with the food they needed to provide services in their local community, right? And that model worked well then and it worked well today. But the idea that we have neighbor services here that started with Trinity Cafe is that every single day we're connected to and reminded of and in relationship with those we serve directly. It changed a lot of who we are. You can create distance between those you serve and your responsibility to them between a truck and there's a space between us handing food to a partner that we don't ever get involved with the neighbor. And I think one of the things that is maybe the best thing that ever happened to us is every single day we're in front of and alongside a neighbor who is sharing with us their story, their life, their moment. I think that made all of us more empathetic. I think it connected all of us more deeply to the richness of the community that we serve.
Well, and everyone's a human being unto themselves. Everyone has a different experience. Everyone has different pathways, and to learn to listen. I remember with that merger, food banking, the word used to be clients as how you would reference people that you serve. And then as we brought people more into our world, It's like that doesn't feel comfortable, So we've, as an organization in the past 7 years, adapted to really, a byproduct of what we do is we're building community. You think of the seniors who come and they're making friends, people who are lonely and have no one else. There's just so many kind of dynamic forces going on under this roof to help people feel heard and understood and supported.
Yeah, I think, you mentioned something that I think remains critical to us. The central theology of this building was to build community. That was our ultimate goal when we had enough conversation with the folks we serve, the people we serve with, the volunteers that support our work, the funders that provide the resources, the community partners that bring alongside services. Over and over and over again, we heard that we need to build community with and for each other. And I think when people walk in here, whether you're a person that's coming in for a meal or whether you're a person that's coming in with resource and opportunity, this facility and our theology connect the two. We simply wanted to build a space where everybody could be welcome on a campus, no matter their reason for showing up.
Right.
I think, again, that's another affirmation that I feel on a regular basis, that all of us have a place here, and this is a place for everyone. Both of those are true statements.
Right. Door wide open for anyone who needs us or wants to come. Transitioning a little bit to personal. You've been
This
in the
is the end of the interview, I assume?
Yeah. If you weren't in food banking, or if you think about when food banking is not your everyday life.
This wasn't on the scheduled question sheet.
It was. You didn't read it because you
that's
don't.
probably
and
true.
I
did not read it.
You didn't, and I know it's for me to
Okay.
create the notes. What would you be doing? What would you want to do? What's a dream thing that you want to do? I kind of know the answer. I'm going to see if you're going to say it.
So I'll answer your question in a couple of ways.
Okay.
So when I was, I think you get a job because I grew up in the era where I had to take care of myself. So you just get a job.
Yep.
And then your thought process from there is get a job that pays me more money, right? So whatever promotions or opportunities were available, it was about income generation, right? And I get that, right? I grew up in that world where I didn't have much. And I was definitely pulling change out of the cushions in the couch to survive. But at a certain point in my career, I started to ask myself what I wanted to do with my life and what I felt like I was called to do and perhaps could be good at. And as you build a career, you start to realize, oh, okay, I'm good at some of these things. This feels natural to me, or the feedback that I get in the moment. So when I went through one of those, they didn't call it Strengths Finders at the time. It was some other process. I always came out the same thing, which was a teacher and a coach. That over and over again, those were the things that came up as things that were important to me, that also were skills that I had. And my initial impression was that I should be a teacher. That was something that really, as a kid that barely made it through school,
Right.
as a kid that went to, you've heard me say this before, I started college in 1986, promptly graduated in 2013, right? And so, but school has always been something important to me, the concept of learning. I just was never in a place where I felt good about that because I didn't get good grades, because I was problematic in school, because I didn't think I was smart enough.
Right.
But when I started to think about the idea of a teacher, I loved the campus life. When I finally did get to college, it was interesting. I got good grades, and I enjoyed the scholastic process, all of which was a huge surprise to me because that had never been my experience through formative school. But I realized that was too small of a definition, and it also left out the thing about a coach, right? That there's a part of me that intrinsically likes to be a part of saying to someone, hey, this is how you might think about this or do this. When I looked at my corporate career, the thing that I loved most was finding talent and helping talent in people and helping people, build that skill set. All of that said, so I'm well positioned whenever I have a chance to be a teacher or a coach. You've been on the other end of some of this at different times, both I'm sure happily and unhappily. But
Respectfully.
I think, so when I was probably about 21 years old, on the radio came an advertisement for if you want to be a DJ. And boy, I grew up on album-oriented rock in the 60s and 70s, and man, I wanted to be a DJ more than anything. So I took their little test. They come out, they test you, and they tell you, boy, you're going to be a great DJ. This is a career for you right there, pumping you up right up until you realize you have to pay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which was the point I had to get off the bus because I had no money. But I love the idea of talking to people. I love the form. It's why I liked being on the podcast before I was dumped. I love the idea of being a talk show host. I really enjoy the formation of that relationship. I love entering people's lives in that way. As you know, you've got me a couple of guest hosting gigs. They have been something I've enjoyed enormously. And so if I had to do it all over, if my life was different and I could have said, instead of having just to survive and go build my own life, if I could have been in a position to say, hey, in hindsight, I'd have been a talk show host. No doubt.
Welcome to the Thomas Mantz Show.
Yes.
Thomas has so-and-so
I used to be
today.
I used to be a podcast host until,
I know. Yeah, until we
So
shortened
it allowed
to
me
30
to be
minutes,
a part of that.
and you're like, I
until
can't do 30
my
minutes.
dream was ripped from me.
You'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'm
I assume
convinced.
all this part's going to be edited out.
No. The world needs to know you.
Yeah.
Okay, last question, and then you got stuff to do because you're a busy man.
Yeah, right.
Best cheeseburger.
I don't like cheese on a hamburger.
Best hamburger.
So it really depends. It depends on how you define what you want at that particular moment. Right? So you can go to high-end places and get a really good hamburger, but I want to be clear.
Yeah.
With a good hamburger, you don't want a bunch of stuff on it. So one of my theologies about hamburgers is you never eat two meats together. So there's no bacon on the hamburger. There's no, right? You don't put a ton of stuff on it because you want the taste of the burger.
Okay.
So sometimes you go to higher end places that use a better sirloin mix. It just depends on what they have. They might, right? So they might use different. So one is you can go there and you can get a terrific burger. Right now, I would answer that I love a really good smash burger. I think it is one of the great tastes that there are. The char and the sizzle of it. And so I think some of it, like any other meal, is about what you're in the mood for at that particular time. There are some where you can get the little mini burgers that are fabulous as well. But I think the key to it is the quality of the burger that you're getting, less about what you put on it.
Well, thank you.
All right.
For squeezing us
I'll
into your
see
day and
I'm
coming
going to go
by.
do other stuff now since I'm not on the podcast.
The plan is for you to come back every once
I'm
in a
not
while and
coming
update
back.
it.
This is it.
Okay.
So I hope they recorded this.
Well, thanks to Thomas for stopping by, which he says is the last time, but it's not, trust me. He'll be back to keep us up to date on what's going on in Feeding Tampa Bay and those that we serve. And thank you for spending time with us once again. Again, hit subscribe. And man, oh man, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go get a cheeseburger. Cheeseburger.
No cheese on a hamburger.